Oh no, these don't have wheels on them.
Yeah, they don't. We're good there. Flags behind us. For the pledge.
We'd like to begin tonight's forum with the Pledge of Allegiance. So please stand as you are able and raise the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'd like to welcome you to the 2024 Campaign Candidate Forum. We are recording tonight's forum, and you will be able to view this via YouTube. The links for viewing will be located at the city, chamber, and school websites and social media. We have provided a translator this evening should you need an interpreter. Sylvia Rodriguez is in the back of the room if anyone needs assistance. We have 4 segments to our forum this evening: school board candidates, mayor and city council candidates, county commissioner candidates, and state legislature candidates for District 21B. The format for this forum will be school board, mayoral, and state legislature candidates will be asked to make a 1-minute opening statement, introducing themselves, and then a 1-minute closing statement to list why people should vote for them. There will be a set of questions that will be asked of all candidates. Each candidate will have up to 1 minute for answering each question. We have timers that will pull up a yellow card indicating there are 15 seconds left as a warning, and a red card indicating your time is done. And I do not have power to turn off your mic, but I will figure it out somehow. The city council candidates, this thing moves. The city council candidates and county commissioner candidates are running unopposed, so they will be allotted a 3-minute time frame to introduce themselves, share the issues and concerns they have, and then make a statement of why people should vote for them. If they are unable to attend, they've been asked for a prepared statement that will be read for them. This evening's forum is sponsored by the City of St. James Area Chamber of Commerce, St. James Public Schools and Community Education, along with financial support from Rotary and Sertoma, and water supplies by Culligan. If you have any questions for any set of candidates, please write it on the index cards provided and hand it to an usher. There's in the room in red shirts. If there's time at the end of each section, we will ask the questions gathered from the audience. If you do not get your question answered during the forum, please feel free to stay and talk personally with any of the candidates after the forum. Okay, that's all the rules. Now we get to the fun. We have 8 candidates running for 3 positions on the school board: Irene Aguilera, Kelly France, Jesse Frederick, Eugene Hildebrandt, David Janowski, Allison Carroll, Karen Benson, Scott Money is the incumbent. Each candidate will now make a 1-minute opening statement to introduce themselves and tell us your main reason for running for a seat on the school board. And we will start with Irene.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Irene Aguilera, and I'm running for St. James School Board because I believe that there's power in community and the importance of education for all students. I grew up in this district. I attended these same schools, and now as a parent with children in the district, I'm deeply committed to ensuring that every child has the opportunity to succeed. My background in construction management has given me the skills to tackle complex issues, plan for the future, and make the best use of our resources. As a school member, I will advocate for equity, improve academic outcomes, and ensure that our schools reflect the diversity and strengths of our community. I'm passionate about supporting teachers, engaging parents, and investing in the future of every child. Thank you.
Kelly.
Thank you. Thank you. My name is Kelly France, and I am running for school board. I recently moved to this district, and I have fallen in love with the city of St. James. I believe in creating strong, vibrant, resilient communities, and laying the foundation for that begins in our school districts. I am currently involved in the district as a soccer coach. I work with the theater department, helping them to design and build sets. I have 3 children in the district. I believe that the responsibility of the school board is to equip our young people to carry forward the community that we live in and the community that I've grown to love. I firmly believe that my experience as an interim pastor, which relies on bringing people together and overcoming difficulties, is going to help me to help the district as a member of the school board.
Jesse.
My name is Jesse Frederick, and I'm running for school board because it's time for me to get back to the school a little bit more than I already do. A little bit of history. I've got 12 years volunteer teaching gun safety to kids. I have coached high school trap for the last 10 years, and I believe in making things simple, quick, and deal with the problems in front of you and just keep moving forward and do the best we can.
Gene.
Good evening. My name is Eugene Hildebrand. I'm running for District 840 School Board. Assets that give voters good reasons to vote for me include my knowledge and passion that are tied to 44 years experience with our St. James schools. These experiences include being a special education teacher, dean of students, a coach of 88 seasons in both girls and boys sports, a volunteer, an advocate for all students, a parent, and now a grandparent. I just had 3 little grandkids move into our school district. I'm a good listener and a problem solver, and I love our schools.
Allison.
Yep. My name is Allison Carroll. I graduated from St. James back in 2005. I have remained here since then. I do really love St. James. I am currently the director for Whatcom County TMT. And with that, I feel like it brings a lot to the table because I am familiar with budgets, expenses, how to get certain funding. I'm also a parent of 2 children in the district and then 1 in childcare. The childcare does fall under the school district, so I feel very strongly about that. I just have a lot to bring to the table, and I'm very passionate. I'm willing to fight for every child. Yeah.
Karen.
Hi, my name is Karen Munson. I'm a full-time medical assistant here at St. James Family Dentistry, also part-time in Amelia. My husband and I both graduated from St. James schools. We have 3 children, Natalie, who is a 5th grader, Hunter, a preschooler, and Katie, who is in the child care as well. They're basically the reason that I'm running for school board. I'm passionate about my children's education, and it's in my best interest for the school to succeed. I feel that if the school district is doing good, then our children, not only my children, but our children are off to a well start. I'm here for the long haul. It's important for young parents to get involved with what's going on in the school system. So, yeah, I don't think to know everything that goes on in the school board, but I'm teachable and I'm willing to learn. So, yeah.
Scott.
Scott Runge. My wife Samantha and I both grew up in St. James. We graduated from St. James. We stayed in St. James. We have 3 kids. Jacob, who is 20, he graduated from St. James, and now he's back working with Bridgewater after school. He graduated from Bridgewater with bank production management. Now he's back working on the family farm. Keely is our daughter. She's a senior. And then we have another daughter, Caitlin, who's a freshman. I've been on the school board for 8 years, and I'm looking to trying to be on it for another 4 more years. My kids are the reason why I'm running for the school board. Sam and I volunteer for as much as we possibly can. And the school board is one of the ways that I can volunteer my time and my knowledge.
Thank you. The first question, and just a reminder, we will be allowed 1 minute to answer questions. Facilities and finances are 2 areas most constituents question school board members and administration about. What is one strength in either area that you know about the school district, and what is one area of improvement you would like to see in either area? And we will start with Kelly.
Thank you. One strength that I see is that we have a multi-campus system. The use of this building, particularly as the child care center, as a community gathering space, is really a benefit to the whole community. We also have a solid facilities over at the Northside Elementary School and the St. James Middle and High School. I've been able to get to know the theater department quite well there, working with the youth there. One improvement that I think that we can make is I have heard that some of our rooms need to be more up to code when it comes to accessibility for students with disabilities.
Okay, Jesse, same question.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Facilities and finances are 2 areas most constituents question school board members and administration about. What is one strength in either area that you know about the school district, and what is one area of improvement you would like to see in either area? Facilities and finances.
Okay, from what I understand, the finances are getting closer to an order, which is definitely a good thing for us. An area that needs help is we need to stay current with accessibility and the look, so.
Okay, thank you. Jean, same question.
Well, as I understand it, our finances we have a very solid fund balance. We'd like to keep it that way. Facilities, we just will need to upkeep what we do have and continue to do that. I know that we are currently taking care of some asbestos problems that we had at the high school, and we want to continue to do that to keep our schools safe for our children. And I think we have a great school district here, and just want to maintain it, keep it, and if there is room for an improvement, then let's go for it.
Allison?
I agree with the finances. I haven't heard anything about that, and I feel everything is going okay in that department. Maybe not the child care side, so that would be something that need to be addressed. Facilities, I feel it's an amazing looking district. We have a lot to offer, lots of space. The referendum was amazing. The weaknesses would be the ADA piece of it. Definitely, I see some issues with those that have wheelchairs or walkers, and then just with the child care piece of it as well. But otherwise, I think it's great.
Thank you. Karen?
One of the strengths I feel that the school district has, just my daughter being involved, I've been able to go to other schools, and we are so lucky to have the facility that we have. Everything's absolutely amazing. I can't really say much about that. I'm just talking to the facilities that we have. As far as areas of improvement, just the child care aspect, I feel like there are certain things that we need to be up to par. But other than that, yeah.
Scott?
All right, so 8 years ago, when I was first came on the school board, our finances were not very good in shape at all. At that time, our fund balance was a negative $169,000. So that means we were borrowing funds from different sources just to take care of what we needed to do. The purpose of the fund balance is that you're supposed to have 2 months of current expenses or monthly expenses in that fund balance. So with the school district our size, we need a fund balance of like $2 million. And we're getting very, very close to that now, thanks to the help of Dr. Steve Howe. So that is a strength. We're definitely moving in the right direction, and we need to stay on track for that. Improvements or facilities, we have divine help. We still have lots of things that need improvement, like Armstrong School year needs lots of work still, and same with the pool. So.
Okay. Irene?
I also believe that we got a great set of facilities between the north side and the high school. I think we've got this building as well, but we all know that partial part of the building isn't usable. However, regarding financing, I think that we're in a good place now. However, we are still spending less than other districts surrounding us or investing this money back into the school. So I think that creating a plan, assessing what our needs are, as well for regarding maintenance of these facilities and upgrades. We need to ensure that we have a comprehensive assessment of these buildings, prioritize necessary maintenance and upgrades, so we can create a long-term plan that can balance immediate needs with future growth, and so allow us to continue having that fund to back us up while maintaining our facilities in good condition.
Thank you. Next question. The school district runs the only child care center as part of our community education program. Currently, child care laws are changing and making it harder and more expensive to operate a child care center, recruit and retain employees, and keep the facilities within compliance. Do you support continuing this vital service to the community? And if so, do you have a vision on how to help the district fulfill this need? We'll start with Jesse.
I believe that the child care center that is in the building is very useful to the community, and it is needed. I'm not exactly sure how to go about getting everybody in the same place, retrain them and find the money. I'm not exactly sure how that would go. I would have to get in and take a longer, harder look at it. But I do believe that it is valuable.
Jean?
The child care center is super important for our school district. I know it brought a number of new teachers to our school district because of this very child care center we have right here in this building. My son and his wife say that this was by far the number one reason that they were able to move, was to have an affordable child care center here. So whatever it takes to continue to make it affordable and as good as it is right now, we've got to do it. So we're going to have to find the money for it, and it's a great thing to have, and it's been very positive for us in our town.
Allison?
Childcare is something I feel very strongly about. My children have been attending childcare for the last 10 years. I have seen the ups and downs with it. I'm feeling more and more comfortable. I do ask a lot of questions in regards to the why, and I do get answers. I am willing to work with the why. We do need to keep the child care here in St. James. It says St. James Child Community Care. I think it's very unfortunate that it falls on the district as a sole expense when it's a community, and if we did not have the child care here, it would tank employment. So it would be a huge domino effect in so many different areas. So we need to fight to keep it, but it's also for the families, but for the children, because children need to be in daycare, also for the social aspect and the education experiences they get from being in daycare.
Karen?
Yes, I 100% support of childcare. Like I had mentioned, my kid is in childcare right now. I feel that it's the future of our community, so we need to invest in our children at this point as well. There has been a lot of questions, but I feel like Dr. Heil and the staff have been going in the right direction, trying to retain staff, giving them like paid holidays and certain increase in wages. I feel like that we're going in the right direction. And like Allison had mentioned, if we don't have childcare, our community is going to see it in our economy right now. There's no way that you can live off just one income. So you need, two parents need to be working with this. So, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So childcare, like everybody else said, is huge. Some of the reasons why we need childcare for our school district is that when we start the kids young in the school district, by going to childcare, they go to preschool, they go to kindergarten, we start the kids in school, we keep the kids in school so they don't open their own to other districts. Other reason why we need to have childcare is because there are so many private childcare facilities in St. James that are either closing or on the verge of closing, and the city has great need for that. So the school has been asked to provide childcare and keep childcare here for them. Now with that, that puts a great burden on the school to keep childcare here. So the costs are going up. We have been slowly increasing their costs so people won't get sticker shock, but the costs, for the childcare are still going to have to keep on going higher just to recoup our costs.
Irene?
I also strongly support the district's investment in childcare, and we believe that it's essential to have childcare in our community for our working parents in order for our community to thrive. We could get a little creative with solutions or funding, such as seeking additional grants, partnerships, or we talked a little bit about increasing fees, whether we want to get a sliding scale fee structure or collaborating with local businesses for support. I believe that there's very good options that we could explore to see what we can talk to our community.
Okay, Kelly?
Thank you. 3 years ago when we moved here, we were told there was a 3-year wait for childcare, and we finally got in. We were very happy to be in, and we went about 6 months with no childcare, which required a lot of juggling of our schedules. So I firmly believe that we need to be a community that provides childcare. As far as the new regulations going out to childcares, which is causing a lot of in-home centers to close, I think that as a district, this is an opportunity for us to get creative. How are we going to partner with organizations like Job Corps and AmeriCorps? How are we going to partner with the state and institute maybe a earn and learn program so that not only are people being given the skills and ability to meet the regulations and open care centers, but then we can also unburden some of the child care needs from the district.
Thank you. Next question. Cell phone usage in schools has become a hot topic. As a potential school board member, what do you feel is an appropriate use of cell phones for staff and students? And does this vary by the age of the student? Let's start with Jean.
Very familiar with this one. It's the topic, not just here, everywhere in the state, the country, and every other. People have different ideas about this, and I had a strong one. But people are I guess if you want to have a no cell phone use, then you got to lay the law down at the beginning of the school year, and you got to enforce it. And that's what you want. The kids will catch on in a big hurry. Parents have to catch on in a big hurry, and staff will have to catch on in a big hurry. It is an issue, and a lot of schools have shut them down completely. And you can have the office get calls from parents, and they can call the kids in their classrooms. And just like it happened for most of us when we were growing up, you don't need everything now. It doesn't have to be instant.
Thank you, Jean.
Shucks, I could have gone on forever.
Yeah, I think the cell phones, I'm glad that the cell phones weren't popular when I was back in high school because I don't feel like I actually would have ever learned. I do strongly feel they do need to be taken away, whether there's a basket system at the door. I've seen things on Facebook, which I shouldn't probably admit, but I feel there are ways to control the cell phone. I just think it's more important for the kids' education to be there and present and actually learn.
Karen?
I feel like that's a very frustrating subject. I'm the type of parent that I like to have communication with my kids, so I know like what if, you know, she rides the bus home, and I know bus and school there's something completely different. I do feel like we need to be able to supervise a little bit better and just have a better system, but I don't know if I completely agree with taking it off completely, so that's my point of view.
Thank you, Scott?
Well, as much as I would like to not have my kids have their phones on all the time and focus on their stuff, there is some ways in the classes and stuff where the cell phones may be needed, but as a school district, we can't really set a policy as a blanket policy to say absolutely no cell phones, because as Karen said, there are some teachers or some parents that want to have communication with their kids. Now, in the class, I think it's up to each teacher. If the teacher says, hey, don't put no cell phones in the class, put them in the box when you come in the door, I'm all for that. I mean, if there's some classes that could utilize the cell phone by doing some sort of research, then fine, do that. But as a whole, I think it needs to be based on each teacher, what each teacher is comfortable with.
Irene?
I would like to say that cell phones can be both great distraction, but also a great tool to use. So I have 2 children. My oldest child travels for football, so it's always good to be able to communicate with him during his lunch. So it's good to know before the end of the day, hey, I need to get my lunch. I do know that he's told me that the teachers don't allow cell phones in class when they're done with work. Other teachers don't allow cell phones at all. I feel like cell phones are, it's just that thing where the more you prohibit it, the more the kids don't use it. Again, it's up to teachers, also depends on the students and how the age and the maturity level of the students and how they utilize these cell phones. But that's my take on it.
Kelly?
I'm a big fan of having leave it at the door policies in classrooms, and I feel like, contrary to a lot of the statements that have been made, there needs to be a blanket policy for the school, because we can't have, this teacher having everybody free reign and this teacher not doing it, and have any semblance of justice, equity, and fairness among the student body. But we do live in a state where emergencies happen, and people do need to contact their parents or other things. So I don't propose completely banning them. I also think certainly there needs to be a on-ramp to availability of cell phones. I don't think we need to have young elementary school students bringing them to class. That's ridiculous. Thank you.
I think it should be left to the teachers whether they want the cell phones in the class or not. I would prefer them say more no than yes, but I also understand being a parent wanting to get a hold of the kid, and it's easier for me to get one number than call and wait and do all this other stuff. So I would definitely want to leave it up to the teachers.
Thank you. Question number 4. Hiring and retaining employees is becoming more difficult each year. What is one thing St. James Public Schools and the overall St. James community can do to attract and retain teachers? And why will this work? This time we'll start with Allison.
Hiring and retention is in every profession, so it's not a school district. It's not just their problem, it's everywhere. Hiring, I really feel would fall on the child care, would be focused on families. As Gene said, his son and daughter-in-law moved back here because of the child care. Kelly and his wife, they moved here and they didn't have child care. I feel possibly hiring and retention would be having the childcare open for families, the incentive to stay, and just pay and benefits, everything else that goes along with it.
Karen?
Like Allison said, it's a struggle for any small town trying to retain or hiring somebody and trying to attract somebody to a small town. So it's hard. I think the easy answer would be give them a raise, but reality is that it's all based on state funding, so there's a budget we need to follow. I do love seeing other teachers like Mr. Hildebrand said, his son, Mr. Hildebrand, Ms. Johnson, Ms. Woolley, all these teachers who went through the school system and have worked here and appreciate what St. James has to offer. I feel that if we're able to attract those alumni who are teachers into our school system, and somebody that to come back in the area. Yeah.
Scott?
Thanks for stealing my point. So the one thing that Dr. Howe has done very good at in the last few years is going after alumni of St. James and telling them, hey, we have openings, we think you'd be a good fit, we want you to come home. He's brought Jared Schwann's back, Ty Post came back this year. There are just two examples off the top of my head, but there have been others as well. And that's huge because they grew up in St. James, they know what St. James is about, they have family here still, and it's nice to say I'm going home to teach. So, and that's one way to attract them and retain them. We got a very competitive teacher package right now. Our teacher packages can go up against anybody else at school. So.
Thank you. Irene?
So I do believe that retaining quality teachers and staff is essential to maintaining a strong educational system here in our district. I believe that I would piggyback off of Carolyn and Scott. With offering competitive salaries, we're on a budget, then we can't offer a competitive salary, offer different benefits. I think that that's something that we want for teachers or actually anyone who is willing to negotiate. We can't offer any more money, give more benefits, offer this, offer that. I think we have a lot of opportunities to work with. We do have, this isn't just a district responsibility, this is also our community responsibility to bring in different entertainment factors so people can do different things around town. Because how are we going to attract someone, hey, let's go hang out at the park and that's all we have.
Kelly?
I think we good? Okay, thanks. Attracting and retaining folks starts with showing them dignity. Be it teachers, be it staff people, be it administrative or custodials or anybody, they need to be paid competitively. We seem to be doing a good job of that, but also we need to, as a board and as a community, say, we hired you because you know what you're doing and we trust you to do it. Specific to teachers, they've got a master's degree in knowing what to do. We need to clear the road so that they can educate our students in the way that they best know how to do.
Jesse?
I like the come home theory to teach because they're already invested in the community, and since our pay package is competitive, that's a wonderful thing to hear. If we're going to attract people from not home, then as a board, as the community, we need to make them feel as welcome and get them to fall in love with how we live here.
Jean?
Well, I like the alumni thing. I'd also like to have more connections to area colleges, both in Minnesota and neighboring states, to see who is graduating from those places and see if we can fit them into whatever area we need someone. I think we have to hire people who are able to coach as well, because we have a shortage of coaches. I think we also need to improve our mentor program so the people that we do hire will want to stay here because they feel comfortable with a good mentor showing them the way. We've done the tour of our town thing, and I love it because it shows them what our town's all about, where things are at, and then they feel comfortable, and they probably will stay.
Okay, thank you. NCA scores, graduation rates, and third grade reading levels are the main ways that the state of Minnesota assesses public schools. Would you say we are improving, staying the same, or not improving in these areas, and why? So I will start with Allison.
I am not familiar with any high school academics as my children are in elementary. I did hear you mention third grade level. And just speaking for the children as the middle class, I feel that there has been a lot of disadvantages with the whole COVID thing. I don't like speaking of COVID, but I feel that the children have been really impacted on that. So I feel, maybe compared to other districts, they're good, but as the progress as I see where the levels lie, I feel like it's lower for just the middle classmen that I do know.
Karen?
All right, so like Allison, I'm just going to touch on the NCA part. She had mentioned, COVID did have a great impact on our students, not only educationally, but also mentally. And it's like we need to try and focus on getting them up to par to where they need to be testing-wise. And maybe not pushing NCA so much. I feel like my kid struggles, like her NCA, she's always so nervous. Not putting so much, how do I say this? If they know it, they know it, and not focus so much on that week, and just making it like a regular day, and not making it seem like it's the end of the world if you don't finish. That's kind of my view on it.
Thank you. Scott?
All right, so before COVID, our scores were doing good, and then COVID happened, and I think every school district had this result, and the scores dropped. So now we're getting back in the swing of things, and the teachers are trying, the admin's trying, and they're implementing new tools to the elementary school to start with, and getting kids on the right track and teach them faster and to advance faster to the curriculum. But it's always going to be a problem, and we just keep on doing the best job we can and always striving to improve.
Irene?
Could you ask the question again, please?
NCA scores, graduation rate, and third grade reading levels are the main ways the state of Minnesota assesses public schools. Would you say we are improving, staying the same, or not improving in these areas, and why?
Based on a little research that I did, it looks like we're in about 50% of Minnesota school districts with a low proficiency rates in math, reading, and science. And our graduation rate has declined over the past 5 years. So I would say we're either remaining the same or we're not, or we're declining. I suppose implementing tutoring programs for these students. There's two ways that we could target this. We could address this with targeted interventions, our teacher development and student support. I do believe that there are targeted interventions. I have a child who is involved in one, teacher development as well. I think that that's very important, offering the tools, giving them the knowledge to be able to support children while they're struggling. So it's better to catch it now than later.
Kelly?
Yeah, when I was looking into our scores, I noticed that we are starting to turn up on reading comprehension to high school level, which is great. But math and science continue to slip. I know the elementary school recently started a new curriculum where they're packaging everything together in a way that contextualizes it and helps kids to retain I know I've seen a huge difference in my student, and I've talked to parents and teachers who are very on board with this. I think that's the type of innovation we need. We also frankly need to make sure that we are meeting the kids where they're at. That means if they're having a learning disability, how are we going to be getting them their help? If they speak a different language, are we making sure that they're testing in that language? How are we making sure that we are educating these kids equitably so that we can prepare them for the future that's waiting for them?
Jesse?
From the research, a little bit of research I did, it looked like we had like a 95% attendance rate in the high school. Last year, 2 years ago, I can't remember exactly, that's why I'm not going to give all the numbers, because I don't remember numbers that well. But it seemed to me that with that high of an attendance rate, our scores were on the low side. Now, I don't know exactly how to fix that, but I know there's something out there that can be done to get the kids to the level where they need to be.
Jean?
Well, I think one of the things we could do is align the curriculum from the north side to the high school, middle school, so that it's progressive, so that when they meet something in 4th grade, when they get into 5th grade, this is what you got to do, 6th grade, 7th, all the way up. And if it's the same, kids are going to improve. We also need to, and I agree with a few other comments here, that each child needs to be met where they're at. Some are going to be behind, some aren't going to be caught up. So we have to individualize with each one of those kids, and that's tough to do. Our newcomers that we have coming to school, that is awesome to see the improvement that those kids make from no education to great education in 5 years. That's a tremendous thing that our teachers are doing there. So just keep trying, and I agree with having teachers have more in-service and so on to get better and better at what they do.
Thank you. Are there any questions submitted to any of the ushers? No? Okay. I did receive earlier this evening a statement from David Janowski that is running for school board. I will read that statement at this time. Good evening, my name is David Janowski. I am running for a seat on the District 840 School Board. The reason I am running is I was born and raised in St. James and spent 35 years working for the district and its taxpayers. And even though I am now retired, I would still like to play a part in sharing my community and this is one way that I think I can continue to do that. Thank you. So that is from David. Being there are no questions from the audience, each candidate can now make a 1-minute closing statement on why you should be elected to the school board. And we will start with Irene.
Thank you all for your time and your attention tonight. I'm committed to being a voice for our community and advocating for equity, whether that being working with the children, education-wise, or working together to assess what issues need to be addressed within our facilities, with our buildings, as well as our students. I think that we all work together. We may have issues. We work together. We can work through them to develop a plan to make sure that our children achieve success.
Jesse?
If you're looking for no nonsense, straightforward, let's get to work, let's get these kids where they need to be, I'm more than happy to step in and push and do the best I can for them, because ultimately, that's the reason that all of us are running for school board is for the kids. So I appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Kelly?
Thank you. Yes, I would encourage you to vote for me. I am committed to building equity among students, making sure that our staff and faculty have the dignity they deserve to do their job. I have a long track record of working in contentious situations and finding good solutions where everybody walks away satisfied. I'm happy to serve this community on this school board.
Well, thank you, everybody, for coming. I think 8 candidates running for 3 positions speaks volumes, and it's really neat that this many people care about our school district. Education and kids are what I'm most knowledgeable about. I'm a good listener, I'm fair, I have the time to do the job right. I care about all of our kids, no matter what their background is. I care about the parents and the taxpayers of our school district, and every so-called problem that we run into is an opportunity, not a problem. I look forward to serving District 840 as a school board member. Thank you, and get out there and vote.
Allison.
Thank you for coming and listening. I just feel that if you voted for me, I would just bring a lot of creativity. I'm not one who's just going to sit in that seat, just be a yes vote. I do have an opinion on many things, so I will just not fill that seat. I do have a lot of creative ideas. I will get out and work with staff if needed, or if I'm just always willing to be hands-on and be helpful. I do have ideas. I just can't stress enough, I will help.
Karen.
I feel the school board has had good candidates the last 6 years, people who have been in for numerous years. I would love to be part of that group, and I'm willing to learn. I have the best interest not only for my children, but everybody's children in the community. And I feel that I bring a sense of connection among Latino parents in the community. So.
Scott.
So it's been an honor to serve as the board for the past 8 years. 8 years ago, we struggled to find 3 spots, or 3 people willing to serve the 3 spots. So that 8 12 years is awesome. My experience over the past 8 years, I've learned a lot. We've made some changes in the school district recently, and I want to see it through. I want to see our school district succeed. I want the kids to succeed, and I just want to serve 4 more years. So.
Let's give our school board candidates a round of applause. Okay, we'll now be moving on to City Council. Susan Craig and Steve Lindy are both running unopposed. Since they are running unopposed, the City Council candidates have been asked to make a 3-minute statement that introduces themselves and identifies the opportunities and key issues they would like to work on when elected. I will now read Sue Craig's statement because she is unable to be here this evening. First, I want to say thank you for your support and the opportunity to serve as your council person the last 4 years on the St. James City Council. I would be honored to continue as your representative for 4 more years. Being on the City Council is a personal learning opportunity, plus the opportunity to serve my community. I think it is important to serve on committees so that you can understand the whole picture. While on the City Council, I have served on various committees, including Budget, Community Education, Charter Commission, Land Use Committee, Economic Development, Board of Equalization, City Facilities Committee, and the Hospital Board Nominating Committee. I've lived in Lackawanna County my entire life and in the city of St. James for over 50 years. St. James is my town. I care very much for it, and I want St. James to stay a vibrant, growing city. I believe it is important to be an active part in decision-making, whether it is as an elected official or as a volunteer. This council's major responsibility is to make sure our city can meet all of the basic needs of our citizens, provide them with a safe environment, and to offer them extras like parks and recreational activities. To do this, we must keep a close eye on the financial budget. One of my main concerns for our city is the housing situation. We have a shortage of affordable housing for our families. We have many empty houses in town that are not livable. I have been asking questions about how to start a program that would enable the city to purchase these properties, remove the house, and make the properties available for residents for development. Another concern is our downtown. I hope the city council can create a standard for our storefronts and work with the building owners to create a welcoming environment in our business area. The appearance of our downtown is one of the major factors in the growth of the city. Our cultural diversity is one of St. James' strengths. It is awesome to see everyone come together and celebrate each other's cultural traditions. Another strength is that our town is a faith-based community. We have respect for each other's beliefs. Again, the shortage of housing in both single housing and apartments is a weakness for our city. With the cost of materials, it is hard for qualified people to purchase homes that need repair and be able to flip houses at an affordable cost or to put up spec houses. Without affordable housing available, we are not able to grow as a community. Since I have a great love for 4-H, after my retirement as a 4-H coordinator, I became a volunteer as community club leader and SWE club co-leader. 4-H is a key factor in teaching youth the importance of community service, self-work, and giving them the opportunity to take leadership roles. Since I love Christmas, I help to raise funds for our new downtown Christmas decorations and volunteer every year decorating Memorial Park for the winter holiday season. I believe if you want something to happen, you must be willing to put in your time and work for it. Sue Craig. Okay, Mr. Lindy, you are up for your special news alert.
Okay. Thank you. My name is Steve Lindy. I'm running for St. James City Council Ward 2. This is an uncontested election. I'm looking forward to hitting the ground running once I'm sworn in. A little bit about me. I've lived in St. James since 2006. Been a homeowner here since 2008. I've been married to Jessica for 13 years, and I have 3 kids, aged 10, 9, and 7. I'm an attorney by trade, and I believe I'm a problem solver. But I think I have an analytical mind that will hopefully be beneficial to the city council as different issues come up. I was a Whatcom County attorney for 13 years until recently. I worked with a lot of great people in that role, both in my office and other departments in the county. I spent a lot of time in the Whatcom County boardroom for various board meetings, so I do have some background in the business of government entities. With that being said, I am well aware that there is going to be a learning curve for me as I get going on the city council. I'm looking forward to meeting the other council members, getting to know better those that I do know, and working towards common goals, learning more about the operation of the city. I appreciate your vote on November 5th. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Okay, we'd like to do a quick mic check, so if everyone could just say their name into the mic before we let the remaining to speak.
Joe McCabe.
Chris Lyden.
Marge Fogelman.
John Wilson.
Are we good? Okay, fabulous. Thanks again, Steve. Okay, moving on to the candidates for mayor, Joe McCabe and Chris Whitehead. Each candidate is allowed a 1-minute opening statement to introduce yourself and why you are running for office. Mr. McCabe, Joe, you are up first.
First of all, I'd like to thank the City of St. James Chamber, the community, Rotary, and Tacoma for sponsoring this one. I'm Joe McCabe. I'm running for the office of mayor. I'm running as this is my opportunity to give back to the community that hired me in 2006 as city manager. My background is many years of government, first 20-plus years as city administrator in Vidalia, 10 years as city manager in St. James, 1 year as interim city administrator in Mountain Lake. Also served as the interim city manager and interim EDA director in St. James for an extended period of time. I'm involved in a number of organizations in St. James, Rotary, Lions, Backpack Program, Art Walk, Beyond the Yellow Ribbon, just to name a few. I'm a graduate of Mankato State College with a degree in accounting. I'm a Vietnam veteran and active in the American Legion, Veterans of Foreign Wars, and Disabled American Veterans. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Good evening, thank you everyone for coming here. My name is Chris Lyden. This is my community. I've grown up here. It's where I'm raising my family. I have 3 children. My wife's from Adelia. I'm on the St. James Fire Department. I'm also active with youth sports, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to be your mayor of the city of St. James and give back to the community that's been a part of my life for 33 years. So, as your mayor, I think I have a great opportunity to bring a younger mindset to the city. I'm willing, I'm able, and I'll work tirelessly to help you guys out.
Okay, the following questions, you will be allowed a 1.5-minute answer. First question, what do you feel are the roles of mayor of St. James? And we'll start with Chris. The role of mayor of St. James.
I feel that the role of the mayor of St. James or any city is that you have to face the community. You're going to be the one that's going to take the punches from the community, regardless if it's your choice or not. I think working well with the city council is going to be a big thing. Listening to everybody, hearing what the community has to say, regardless of age, race, wherever you are. And I'm going to be the guy that's going to listen to you and bring that to attention. I've been on the CEO advisory committee for my co-op for the past 2 years now, and have listened to multiple employees' issues. They don't feel safe or comfortable going up and telling their managers. And I'm able to take that to the CEO and talk to them face to face about the issues and concerns that we're having. So I think I'll be able to bring that to the city also, is hearing all of our community members, what their issues and concerns are.
Joe?
St. James is unique in that we have a weak mayor form of government. So the mayor is more or less the cheerleader for the community. One that's out there making sure that everybody knows what's going on. Cheerleader for the employees, a cheerleader for the various organizations within the community. Someone who's obviously willing to listen to what people have to say and make every effort to address the issues by taking it back to city council and helping them make the most informed decision necessary to do their job.
What is your approach to handling controversial and complicated issues? Joe, we'll start with you.
First of all, let's take a deep breath and keep my Irish temper under control. Secondly, it is to listen to what the individuals have to say, making sure that you're getting information from both sides of an issue, because typically there's more than one side of the issue at hand. And then working out with the city staff if necessary to make sure that we can come up with a good compromise where everybody is not necessarily the winner, but everybody's satisfied that they've been listened to and every effort was made to address the issue.
Chris, same question.
Being on the fire department here in town, we have gone through our own issues with the city and ourselves. And as anyone kind of jumping on that department, I was able to try to keep everything calm, cool, and collective, regardless of my years of service compared to someone like my parents who've been on for 15 to 22 years. So the controversy is the fact that, like Joe said, getting inside of both from each one of them, not just listening to one side and running with that one, because there's always 2 sides to the story. So hearing out the community members with their issues and concerns, we all have them. Seeing the community, myself, like I said, for 33 years, and the issue that we had at hand, and I've been that guy that's mad about what's going on, why are the changes being done, but I've never had the opportunity to go and speak or had the courage to go talk to our upper management about why this is happening and take it back to the community to respond to that.
Thank you. Housing is a critical issue for our community. What would you like to see happen to deal with this issue? We'll start with Chris.
I think it's a great thing that we're doing over on the west side of town, building that new complex. I think it's going to be a great thing, but with housing issues, we need to bring business to build these houses. As a firefighter, we have a lot of abandoned houses in town here that cause a hazard to our children, to ourselves as firefighters or our police officers. These are abandoned houses, we all know that, and I don't know if someone's gonna be in that house that's on fire, and knowing that it's an abandoned house, I should assume that nobody's in those houses and I should be okay, but I'd be devastated if I went into that house later on and find that there was somebody in there. I think this is an issue that's big on everybody's hand. It's an eyesore of our community, and we need to make sure that we can solve these issues by communicating, working well with each other, and finding a solution to the housing issues and bringing new houses into these lots where there's other abandoned houses.
Joe?
I've been looking at the city of Minneapolis and the opportunities that they're taking to address the abandoned houses and abandoned businesses in their community by establishing a registration form and a special tax to try and incentivize the owners of those properties to either fix them up or demolish them. I think the city has to take a very active role in that area. We need to be working with developers who are willing to come into our community to build housing. And I agree with you that we've done an excellent job in doing something on the west side of town with EDA.
Okay. Question number 4. What vision do you have to expand and support our local businesses in downtown? Joe, we'll start with you.
That's a very difficult question because it starts with the owners themselves. What are they willing to do? And are they willing to share with the, in this case, the EDA, what their financial conditions are and what they see as opportunities or challenges that they may have? And then also, how can the city work with them, necessarily with financing or marketing opportunities to try and enhance the business?
Chris?
Everybody knows that the Main Street is the capital of our city. I mean, that's what draws people to our community. If you have a nice Main Street, it's going to be the big talks of what's going on. So I think working well with our business owners on how to ramp up the front of their businesses and support all of our ethnicities in their businesses. We have a really great community, and everyone's willing to partake and participate in everything we have going on. So I think if we can help anybody that wants to make the face of their business nicer, I think it's something that we need to look at as a city to help cope with that and help with building that for them, to bring new businesses to our storefronts up on Main Street.
How would you describe St. James to attract new residents to our community? And Chris, you're up first.
Growing up here, St. James has been like my home. It's been awesome. I love it. I brag everybody about it. It's small town living. It's where everybody wants to go now after everything's happened crazy in cities. People I've talked with are moving away. They're trying to buy property around here, farmland, anything possible to get their hands on, anything with small town stuff. So I think we have a unique city. I'd love to keep it that way, but I'd like to just tweak it a little bit to bring it there. So telling people that we have a community that thrives, and we are happy, loving from all generations, all ethnicities. That, I mean, it's a great place to live. I moved my wife from the Valley Hardin Delia area to St. James, and she loves it. I mean, she has told me now for the past 6 years we've lived here that she's happy that I forced the hand to go away from the Blackhawks and go Saints.
Joe, same question.
Thanks for allowing me to follow up on that. First of all, I think we need to make sure that people are well aware of the fact that we have excellent health care, a fantastic school system, we have a community that's safe for our children and all of our senior citizens, excellent police department, and we have a community that is willing to work together to do various projects, be it the splash pad or improving the park system. Those are the things that grow this community and make it well worthwhile to live here. And also the diversity that we have is fantastic. Thank you.
Our community is very diverse. What will you do to encourage appointments to various boards and commissions with members of the community to represent this diversity? Joe, we'll start with you.
First of all, most of the committees that the city has have term limits. And for years, we have not followed that procedure. So I'm going to encourage the city council to work with me in making sure that we are people that are, whose terms are out are being replaced, and they are replaced with individuals that have the diversity that we need to have in this community. We also need to make sure that when we do that, that we are providing the necessary tools so that those individuals that do not clearly speak or understand English understand what's going on.
And Chris?
Diversity is not only race, it's also age. I've grown up in St. James in the school district, and I have many friends of all races, all ages. I think it'd be a great thing to get younger minds of the races in here that understand that their culture, their community, and how we can all clash together. I don't think separate councils are a good thing. I feel like that divides us. I think meshing us together would be a better solution for that, allowing everyone to hear both sides and not just one side of it.
Okay, legislative goals have been set for climate issues. What ideas do you have for the city to become more green and energy efficient? Chris, you're first.
Well, if I'm correct, we had a group, I don't know what it's called, that's already kind of involved with that going green thing. I'm not knowledgeable on that, but I know that there are grants out there through the government. As your mayor, I work well trying to understand different programs or grants that we have out there to help our community go green.
Thank you, and Joe?
Again, we do have many opportunities coming very soon with the climate change group that is willing to take a lead in that area. There are some tax advantages that are going to be available, and we need to make sure that we're getting that information out to the entire community.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions that were presented to the usher? Anyone? Okay. Each candidate is now allowed to make a 1-minute closing statement on why you should be elected mayor. We'll start with Joe.
The city has many challenges and has many strengths. Challenges include keeping our tax burden reasonable for our property owners, treating our employees with fair wage, addressing the police shortage, and working with the legislature to designate our ambulance services as essential function. Just today, the EPA announced that in the next decade, all lead water services must be replaced in the United States. This is a challenge that wasn't even on anybody's radar. The biggest strength in this community is the residents themselves, our diversity, and the willingness to take the steps necessary to improve our community. Examples are the Climate Change Group, Uniting Cultures, One St. James, just to name a few. I feel that my background and willingness to serve deserves your consideration. Thank you. Also, one other thing, my grandfather had a business where he sold calendars, and one of his calendars was, "Bad officials are elected by good citizens that fail to vote." Thank you.
Chris.
I just want to read my phone, but I'm going to read from my phone now. As your mayor, I will work tirelessly to bring our community together, listen to your concerns, and lead with transparency and integrity. I envision a city that thrives economically while preserving the unique characteristics of our neighborhoods in our city. As a city where our children can grow with the best education and where everyone, regardless of background, has a voice shaping our future. I'm committed to fostering collaboration with both our government and with the city council to create solutions to work with everyone well. Together, we can make our city a place of opportunity, fairness, and innovation, a city that truly reflects the best of all of us. Thank you all.
Thank you. Let's give our mayoral candidate We have 2 candidates running for county commissioner. Both of them are running unopposed. Dylan Melheim is not able to be here this evening, and he did not prepare a statement, but he did want me to say he would appreciate your vote. Jim Runstead did prepare a statement. Good evening, everyone. I'm sorry I can't be with you in person tonight, but my wife and I are on a trip that was planned before the date was set for this forum. I am running for the Watonwan County District 3 Commissioner seat. District 3 is primarily the west half of the city of St. James. I have been serving as a District 3 Commissioner for the last 8 years and have decided to seek a third term. I have lived in St. James for most of my life. My wife Pat and I have 3 grown children and 3 grandchildren. We enjoy traveling and are currently in Germany visiting friends and relatives, which is why I'm not present. Besides representing District 3 on the county board as a commissioner, I also serve as the board's representative on many other governing boards. I currently serve on the boards for Human Services, the Library, and Wellspring, as well as being on the Extension Committee. In addition, I represent our county on the Minnesota Rural Counties Board and the Region 9 Development Commission. A big responsibility of the county board is to approve the annual budget and set the tax levy for property owners in the county. This is always a challenging task because of our county's small tax base. Therefore, it is important that we continue to look for opportunities in the area of economic development. To support those efforts, the county assists both Madelia and St. James with the financial costs of their economic development coordinators. The county board is starting the process of assessing the needs of the county highway department buildings. The current buildings are old and undersized for today's equipment. The assessment will include the highways department shop in St. James, as well as the building housing
cities and also with the state, we make sure that everybody has affordable areas to go as a workable part of our society.
Mark?
Thank you for the question. There's so many things that we need to work on here in Minnesota. I think one of the first things constitutionally that we need to do is work on our roads and bridges, and I hear that a lot. We need more money, we need more funding for our roads and bridges. And of course, I think almost everybody's driving on them, so everyone's been around and knows how the condition of our roads and bridges. Safety is also important. We need to be behind our police and support them and make them want to stay in this field, because I think a lot of you know that we are down a lot on our police force, and that is what is keeping our cities and counties and everything safe. So I would like to, I don't think it's just a money problem, I think it's a support problem, that we need to encourage people to do their job and do it right, and not fear if they make a small error that they're going to be fired or worse if they don't do what they're supposed to be doing. Another is waste, fraud, and abuse. Under the current administration, we have almost $1 billion in fraud right now. Waste, fraud, and abuse that basically no one is being held accountable for. So I think that's something that we can look into, and those kind of things will have more money so we can.
Thank you, Marcy. Any rebuttal?
So one of the things that we talked about with road, bridges, and everything else that's there, last year the legislation did not come through with our bonding bills. For 2 years now we've had those issues. We've had Butterfield not be able to get the infrastructure that they can. We've been able to fail on Wilder did not get the money that they possibly could have had. Jackson County did not get the money that they did not have. So there's certainly ways that we need to improve to get those bonding bills done before any of those roads, bridges, and everything else happen.
Thank you. There is an increasing need for housing across our state. What should the state do to support this issue? Let's start with Marge. The increasing need for housing. There is an increasing need for housing across our state. What should the state do to support this issue?
I hear a lot that we have a housing crisis. And last 2 years, with the $18 billion overtaxation of our citizens, the Democrats in complete control had the money to fund housing if that's what they saw fit. Now, last year, Wyndham received $10 billion to help with their apartment complex, and they have a 60-unit building now that has about 11 units rented. Jackson just started building housing as well. So we can look at putting more money into housing, but when we do that, it's still your government dollars, it's still taxpayer dollars. And when we keep funding that kind of stuff, it drives up the price. And when the government's involved, it doesn't necessarily fix it. And free is not usually always the best answer. So we need to look at what we can do to make things more affordable by cutting taxes, cutting regulations, and helping people have more money so that they can afford to buy those things.
John?
Unfortunately, some people don't have those opportunities to just put out money to purchase houses. So there's got to be ways for grants. I know there's grants and items like that already out there for people through banks, like Pioneer Bank here has that program to allow people to get those opportunities to get that down payment, to get into those. The rates are high. You know, that's at some point we got to be able to help to cut the rates with that. You know, and honestly, you know, housing in St. James is talked about earlier. You know, there's a lot of good things going on with that, and when you have state help grants for home improvements, you know, just simple ways to get, you know, siding roofs. Now all of a sudden, maybe those people don't have to get a different house. Maybe that house goes up in value, so they have the opportunity to sell and get up to another house, and then another group of people get an opportunity to get in a house that's affordable. So it's not just about, government spending money and everything else. People have to have the opportunity to get a house, because that is the dream, an American dream, is to have that house, have that property, and to be able to get to what they want in their lives.
Marge, rebuttal?
Again, grant money is still taxpayer money. It's coming from somewhere. And if we are going to keep overtaxing our citizens, our taxpayers, we can't keep giving it from one sector of society, making somebody pay for it and giving it to somebody else. If we're cutting our taxes and overregulation and driving things down, it will give more people the opportunity to own a house and have their dream that they are looking for. Thank you.
There is a child care crisis in Minnesota. The state is developing a whole new set of standards that are being worked on with an execution date by 2028. Many, especially home child care providers, feel that these increased standards could put them out of business. How do you provide quality care for children and have legislation that is reasonable for the providers and the children they care for? John, you're up.
Unfortunately, the regulations that have come, I think, have come by certain groups or certain individuals that have had issues in those daycares. And unfortunately, all daycares are facing the problems with that. With that said, as we talked about here in this building about the child care system, there's a teamwork that could happen. You have opportunities to have a school-based child care that does help with the city, that does help with community members, and then obviously probably with private stuff. I know Laverne, I don't know all the details about Laverne and how they were able to put a daycare center together, but I know Laverne, Minnesota has had just finished construction on a massive type of daycare center for their community. That was not just done by the city, that was done by everybody involved in getting that done. So to be able to have that, I know in the past we've had, as a school board member at Fairmont, we had to shut down our daycare in the early 2000s when House Republicans were in charge and Tim Pawlenty was in charge. Unfortunately, we had to close our child care because we did not have the funds in our school district at that time to do that. And obviously that hurt our families and hurt the town of Fairmont at that time.
Marge?
Thank you for that question. I recently attended a county child care community solutions meeting in Nobles County. And the biggest thing I heard was, when are you going to get rid of some of these over-regulations that you are doing to our child care centers? Over the last 2 years, we have lost about 1,000 child care providers in the state. This can't keep happening. We're forcing people out of this profession, and Minnesota should be doing more to keep those people to do it, because we don't need just centers and we don't just need in-home providers. People need a variety, and we're forcing our in-home people to be gone. We need to keep kids safe. That should be our #1 priority, but we also need to use some common sense. And I will advocate for removing barriers and helping grow businesses, and that in turn also helps grow our communities.
John, rebuttal? Legislation has been established with much of the funding in collaboration with Xcel Energy. Many of our rural communities are not in the Xcel network. How will you make sure that all communities have access to these resources? Marge, start with you.
Thank you for that question. We passed the 2040 bill, which was carbon-free Minnesota by 2040. This is costing Minnesotans $313 billion. We need to maybe step back a little bit and look at all energy sources. We need to look at nuclear and coal to help bring down our prices. Right now, when we're pushing just solar and wind, that's driving the cost up for everyone. And if we have more solutions, we will be able to lower everyone's prices. We need it safe and affordable. And I think that's what everybody wants. We shouldn't just say one thing is gonna work. We can't just do a one-size-fits-all. And when we have forced moratoriums on nuclear, which is basically zero carbon, and our coal plants, we can have a better solution for everybody to keep our costs down, and that will help everyone be able to afford it and not maybe have to have grants and everything else to keep our city's costs down.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, energy has come up in the last few years as mayor, and I've learned quite a bit about how utilities have worked, because fortunately for St. James, we do have a low utility rate. Unfortunately, if you have certain huge corporations that get involved in energy, I would agree, there's other ways that possibly we could look at to get better energy for everybody here. We have the opportunity to use the water, the basic piece that Missouri Energy gives to us. Not everybody has that opportunity, so I think we got to make sure that we are open up to other different groups and not allow just one Excel corporation to kind of run everybody's energy bills.
Anything you want to follow up with? Question 5 is rather long. In 2023, the state legislature passed a new law allowing 9-month school employees to access unemployment during the summer. Schools have reported that paraprofessionals, cooks, bus drivers, etc. have been harder to find in the summer because of this law. In addition to this, there have been many of those employees who have resigned their position in the fall after taking summer unemployment, as well as set aside funds that have been spent. School districts will now have to pay these employees out of their general funds, putting the burden back on the taxpayer. What is your view on this law, and how will you help school districts counteract the results of this new law with their budgets? Go ahead, John.
Okay. This one's new to me. As being in education, I did not even know that, so that kind of makes sense of how some things I've heard through the grapevine. It doesn't seem fair for the school district to have to deal with that. I do understand being able to take leave as that sets up, but the law itself, to me, is personal opinion, does not seem like it would help the school district whatsoever. If I'm listening to it correctly, I guess I may be wrong, but it does seem like it's not fair to allow people to take the leave like that and then have an opportunity to kind of set down. That's why, obviously we do have some issues with pairs and other. I do know the fact that throughout the school year, our district has done a great job in trying to increase pay for paras, increase pay for bus drivers and such, because we do have a low part to that. But at the same time, if there's state law involved that takes a lead and hurts our district, I don't think that's a good way to go about it.
Mark?
Thank you for that question. Last year, the Democrats funded education by about $2.2 billion. And this is another example of things of how these mandates are eating up some of the monies that were supposed to be helping our education. We need to let the state kind of get out of the way, and I've listened to a lot of great ideas up here from the school board, when we should be letting our schools have local control. And when we have local control, the school board and the people that you elect here in St. James know what's best for the school in St. James. We can't have 134 legislators up in St. Paul telling you what you can do here in your community. We need to be helping our schools. This is just another thing that it's not only schools, but it's all businesses. It's called earned, safe, and sick time. So for every 30 hours that an employee works, they get 2 hours of paid leave to use basically however they want. So it's not just the school, it's everybody, but it's just like I said, it's another unfunded mandate for schools. And we don't need more mandates. We need less, and we need less government, and let St. James School Districts and all the districts in 21B do what they see need.
John, rebuttal?
So it wasn't earned simply.
No, it's a 9-month school employee.
So there's nothing to do with that.
It's a separate issue, in my understanding.
Okay, so that wasn't the answer that they were looking for. So the bottom line is that if we bring up funding for schools, it's been a long time since states have actually, we're trying to catch up, basically. When Scott talks about 8 years ago, I was on the negotiation team at that time. It was very difficult. Why was it so hard for us? Yeah, there might have been some spending that we were having issues with, but the bottom line is we were not getting the money that we deserved from the state. And that was kind of the biggest problem. So when you start to look at how much millions or billions of dollars that are coming to the schools, there's a reason for that. We need to have that money.
Thank you. How do you attract viable workforces to southwestern Minnesota? And we'll start with Marge.
Thank you for that question. Rural Minnesota struggles to keep kids. A lot of them, they want to go to the cities, they want to go to Sioux Falls, they want to go to places where there's more opportunities. I was able to co-author some legislation that worked with the Minnesota colleges like Worthington and Pipestone to work with kids and give them a scholarship program for in-demand fields in exchange for 3 years of full-time employment. We need to do more things like that. South Dakota is doing that also, which is helping them. So we need to do more programs like that, apprenticeships, things that's going to help people and stay in our area because it's a great place to live. Our small town living, I think, is great for everybody and get a little bit of everything. Get a lot of diversity that way. But I think it would be great if we could do more things like that and encourage employers to offer apprenticeships and keep kids here in our southern part of the state.
John?
So when we look at all of our communities, as Representative Fogelman did say, the easiest way to do this is to have our communities, have those apprenticeships. I think that's one of the things that in St. James we've worked hard. We have long-time businesses, and at some point people want to retire. But what's the next step? I think you have opportunities. I know there's True Value has done that. I think they've been able to show the apprentice through the ropes and be able to do those types of things. I know in the construction areas, I know that there's been students that have had abilities to take high school classes, whether it's construction of a house. They take that class, they love that class, and they go off to college and do those, and then they come back and start their own construction business. Those are the types of things that we all kind of work together in rural communities. That's what you have to do. You have to all work together to grow those inside jobs, basically. As they talked about earlier, we have grow your own within the education system, where you give the scholarships out to kids that and then hope they come back. We have a lot of teachers that did come back from the alumni. And it's kind of that same tragedy. Kids will come back if there's jobs and affordable living and have the jobs that they have to make a lot of good money when they do come back.
Marge, any follow-up? Last year, the Minnesota legislature approved $24 million in short-term emergency aid for EMS in greater Minnesota. How would you work in a bipartisan manner to fund the deficit in municipal-owned EMS services? John?
It's certainly an issue that we have in greater Minnesota. It's starting to get a lot of press because of what's going on. I know the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities, I think had maybe like 130 million was their target, only got 24. So there's a long way to go. Our local EMS is hurting. Financially it's hurting. There's local areas that are hurting. We have the recruitment, the retention of those employees. All that plays into that. The bottom line is there is a bill that passed. The one next to my right voted no. And that's kind of the biggest part to why I'm running, is the fact that, we did not get the help that we possibly could have, and thankfully, there was more people there to vote around that. But there's ways that we can continue to do better and make sure that everybody has EMS. And one thing is essential. Police, fire have essential services by their name. Ambulance does not. Last time I checked, I know Chris is up here, but most of us may not ever have a fire. Hopefully, we never need a police officer. But I'm pretty sure everybody in here is going to need possibly an ambulance or someone that they know well and love need an ambulance. That's an essential service. That's where you start. That's where you get the funding. That's where you get the retirements that the fire and the police have.
Marge?
Thank you for that question. The EMS situation, again, the Democrats had an $18 billion surplus, and they raised taxes $10 billion, and they also funded a $730 million new state office building, which is currently under construction. So EMS was not their priority. They had full control. They could have definitely funded this with the money they had. They asked for $120 million, and out of that billions of dollars, it wasn't a priority for them. The reason I did not vote on that $30 million, I voted no, is because they asked for $120 million, and they only got 30. This didn't help everybody. And it also created another bureaucracy that is going to end up being an open door for more waste, fraud, and abuse and taking away local control. And I think that you guys know here in St. James and everywhere in District 21B, the best way to spend your dollars. So I think that we need to sit down and look at some real solutions and involve all the stakeholders and see what we can do for everybody. Because we don't need more waste, fraud, and abuse from the government, and we need to help everybody because everybody will need an ambulance in our communities at some point. Thank you.
John, any follow-up?
So it's not about fraud. It's not about some palace building that is there. It's about an ambulance driving 3 blocks to your house. She was one of 11 that voted no. 11. So that means that many Republicans, including Representative Olson, etc., voted yes. She voted no. So when you go back to St. Paul, who's going to be the best fight for you for the EMS situation?
Southwestern Minnesota people feel that the metro area dominates the politics and the funding for legislative resources. How will you help our area be competitive for these resources? Marge, we'll start with you.
Thank you for that question. We are overwhelmingly represented by Republicans in rural Minnesota. The metro often ignores what we are looking for out here, and there are a handful of rural Democrats that vote with the but they vote with the radical left 95 to 100% of the time on abortion, gun rights, tax increases, wasting surpluses, and climate change. And we don't need that out here in rural Minnesota. We need a Republican majority that will prioritize rural Minnesota. And most of the time, that is what the Republicans do. They put rural Minnesota first. Without it, expect more radical laws in the next 2 years. The past 2 years have shown that we need balance and accountability in Minnesota. And so please get out and vote red, and make a change in Minnesota.
John?
So let's assume that Democrats do win the House. You have an opportunity in Southwest Minnesota that many other people don't have across the state. You vote Democrat this time, you're not going to get a Democrat. You're going to get a nonpartisan person that does the job for everybody in 21B. That's my history. That's how I've ever done anything. And it honestly looks, when we go up, honestly, I hate the Democrat tag because, honestly, I'm about as moderate as anybody in here. But when I go to St. Paul, that tag is going to open a door. That's going to open a door that Representative Fogelman and the rest of the Republicans don't get. I have an opportunity to actually talk to those Metro people, build relationships with those people, and change things for everybody. Not just Democrats, not just Republicans, for everybody.
March?
Well, John, it is the endorsed Democrat, he's the one running under the Democrat label. And I can tell you from my 2 years up there that they vote how they vote, and they vote on party lines, and if they don't, they are expendable. So they will vote again for things that I think that you people agree that we don't need abortion up to 9 months, we don't need our gun rights taken away, we don't need more tax increases, and we don't need to be wasting our surplus on climate change and things that aren't that important. And really, we want a better economy that works for everybody, not one side or the other, but for everybody.
Okay, here's another lengthy question, so please listen close. In 2026, the Minnesota Paid Family Medical Leave Law will go into effect. This new law expands the amount of time, up to 20 weeks of paid leave, and expands who an employee can take time off to care for. This new law will be paid for by using a new payroll tax for both the employer and the employee. The state of Minnesota estimates this will cost taxpayers around $1 billion annually. With an already stressed labor market and high inflation, what are you going to say to individuals who notice they are paying more in taxes and the cost to employ people is more expensive and they will miss more work? March?
Thank you for that question. The paid family medical leave was opposed by thousands of people that sent letters to Governor Walz asking him not to enact this law. It's a one-size-fits-all approach where big businesses were already providing this stuff. It takes away negotiating things from small businesses. The Democrats would not listen to any kind of amendments. They tried to get it for small businesses to be exempt from this. They tried 50, they tried 25, and it's basically if you have one employee, you have to do this. This is why I'm saying we need some balance and accountability in Minnesota. We need to take some of this stuff and take a step back. It's actually closer to $1.5 billion this is going to cost, and it's going to just keep increasing. From when they started it, when they passed this the first year to the second, they already raised that tax because that is going to be charged to the employer and the employee because it isn't going to be enough for what they are promising. So we need to have some balance and accountability and repeal this stuff so that we are not forcing businesses and people to leave because they can't afford to live here. I want to stay here in Minnesota. I don't want to leave, and I don't want others to leave either.
John?
So when you talk about that I would 100% have to vote Democrat, this would be one that I would not. And I have a strong enough will what's inside of me. If they kick me out of as a Democrat, I guess I'd get kicked out of a Democrat, but that's not going to happen. The bottom line is here, this paid leave, yeah, this is tough. I've already felt it. As a custodian for the church, we had to go through, new paperwork to figure out, for a paid leave. Well, when you clean a church, you really don't need paid leave. So it doesn't make a lot of sense. So again, it goes back to, who has, corporations, like she said, there are ways in place. The problem, though, is the fact we don't live in this perfect world. People are taken advantage of by their businesses. And unfortunately, when we kind of blanket it all together, that obviously becomes a problem. But we still got to think of those people that are getting taken advantage of. How do we work with them to allow them to have a paid leave when they have to? What do they do when their kid is sick and they can't get out of work? That's the bottom line. And so again, you got to remember that there are situations that are out there that are not getting solved by these items. We may not think it's a big deal, but for a lot of people, it is.
Marge?
I think one thing we have to remember is that private business is private business. And what they do should not be dictated by the government. They shouldn't be abusing their employees. I do agree with that. But I can just say from my own experience that when there was a place that I worked and I didn't have the benefits I wanted, I found a different job. And that's everybody's right, is to look. And when you are taking away negotiation things from companies by forcing everybody to have the exact same thing, it doesn't work.
What are emerging issues in Southwest Minnesota agriculture that create challenges for the regional economy? What can the legislature do to respond? So what are emerging issues in Southwest Minnesota agriculture that create challenges for the regional economy? John?
So agriculture to me is a lot like small business. When you have opportunities for farmers to have, when you look at farmers across the Southwest, a lot of times they're going to have their sons-in-laws, and things like that. They don't have that opportunity to kind of get involved in farming. Maybe somebody does want to get involved in farming, and maybe they don't know how to get in there. So make sure that things are in place to allow them to get those from sites where people can purchase things. But we have to make sure that we don't have all these corporate farms in Minnesota. We want to make sure that people have the opportunities to continue to have farms. We've got to make sure that the prices are there for the farms to be able to have a profitable business for them. Because obviously in the rural America, in the rural Southwest Minnesota here, the farmers are the passion or the kind of the money that we're going to get in our rural communities that we also have. So the farming, the small businesses, kind of that same idea that we want to make sure that things are in place so that they can have those opportunities for businesses to grow as a small business, and also in the farming business that they have those opportunities and not have excessive costs that are out there through the standards or the mandates that are also there.
Marge?
Thank you for that question. Obviously, our small businesses and agriculture are what drives our economy here in Southwest Minnesota. And again, we need to lower taxes and fees and make it easier for people to have a business and to farm if that's what they so choose. When you have things like a $1.5 billion paid family medical leave and earn safe and sick time, that is just adding more and more burdens onto our employers. They are not going to stay here. They are not going to start farming. They are not going to start a small business. They are not going to keep people in our communities. We need to do things to be welcoming to Minnesotans and welcoming to business owners and make it easier for them to grow our economy. Because when we have people here earning wages that are real wages and not all taking tax out of them, that they have nothing left to pay their bills with, this is not welcoming for anybody. And we can make a change. We can do things that will not stifle our economy like what is going on right now. So yes, we need to keep our economy thriving and regulatory relief and minimum fees to help everybody.
John?
So we hear a lot about lowering taxes tonight, which I think everybody in here would love to have lower taxes. I mean, I don't think anybody in here would argue that point. But taxes are revenue to the state government. Taxes, as she said, the first thing, what's the top three? Roads, bridges, etc. Who pays for that? Taxes. Who pays for a water treatment plant? Taxes. Who pays for the wastewater plant that's going to have millions of dollars that the city has to pay? Taxes. Where do you want it? Do you want it in local government aid, or do you want it in property tax and other taxes?
Okay, are there any questions from the audience? Okay, so there were quite a few submitted. Page 5. Many Minnesotans are leaving the state for states who don't charge enormous taxes that Minnesota has. How can we change this migration so many more Minnesotans and businesses stay here? Start with Marge.
Yeah, that just kind of keeps going off the last question that we had. Yes, we need our taxes for our roads and our bridges, but we don't need all the other overreach that is going on. So when we cut back on the things that we don't need to be taxing for, we don't have the free housing and all these grants and everything, you have more money in your pocket. And who doesn't want to have more money in their pocket to spend how they want to see fit? So when we have less taxes, you are spending your money out and about in the economy, and that makes it grow. That's just how these things work. And then you can do more things, and it will keep people here. But I hear it a lot. I'm going to move to South Dakota. I'm going to move to Iowa. I don't like hearing that when I'm out and about talking to constituents. I've lived here my entire life, and I want to keep living here. So I will be doing everything I can to, yes, we do have to have our taxes. We do have to maintain our roads and bridges and bond for what our state assets are, what's set up in our Constitution. But we don't need the overreach. We don't need all these excessive fees and taxes that are burdening businesses.
John?
So one of the things I talk about my students a lot is that, once I do get out there, that's one of the first questions I'm gonna ask. Why do businesses leave? I'm convinced it's not just because of taxes. I think there's other things that do come up. Now, if it is just taxes, then there's no question that we have to look at a tax code and find out why businesses are leaving. Way back when I was in Fairmont, Bukowski Trucking left Fairmont. Why do I know that? It's because they used to sponsor the softball team. Now all of a sudden it was Bukowski, and the next day it was the Ranch Restaurant with the softball team. I asked, what happened to Bukowski? Because the company is still out of town. No, they moved to Sioux Falls. Now, why did they move to Sioux Falls? I do not know. I know one of my favorite companies that I work for and also enjoyed Schwann's. Schwann's is closing down. One of their plants did move to Sioux Falls. So there's examples in my head. Why do companies move? And that's kind of one of the things that I'd like to find out. It may not just be taxes, it may be other things. But if that is the case, then we got to make sure that the businesses stay in Minnesota.
Okay, Marge and Philip.
Well, I can tell you why people are leaving, because they're overtaxed and all of these unfunded mandates, he's telling you what you have to do with your business and how you have to pay people and what time off you can give them is making people leave. Even our schools, I talked to superintendents and they said this paid family medical leave is going to send them off a cliff. And that's going to hurt our schools. We don't need to be dictating everything to everybody. That's not the government's
Thank
job.
you. Okay, do you think state government is being fiscally responsible with their taxation and spending? And please explain. And do you think there should be reasonable restriction on abortion in Minnesota? And please elaborate. John?
It's two big ones there. I think we've talked enough about taxes tonight, so I'll do the reproductive rights one. Just today, I read an article from the Florida governor to my students, and he was trying to basically sue newspapers that are TV stations that are running ads that allows abortion. It's against the First Amendment right. And the bottom line is, that we talked about in my class today, the bottom line is everybody deserves a choice. If you go straight up pro-life, I totally understand that. And I agree with that. Yeah, we all like to have life, but there's got to be a choice. A young woman that was there had cancer. She had to go to another state to get the abortion because she had to wait so long. If she waits so long, she's going to die. That's not okay. So the bottom line is, you got to have a choice. And I made this comment in my class today. If my 12-year-old is raped tonight and gets pregnant, we better dang well have a choice for that. I'm not going to have the government tell me what to do. And that's my favorite thing about this. The Republicans, which I agree with, a lot of things that happen. But the bottom line is, a lot of times they say, I don't want government to tell us what to do. What is pro-life and all that stuff, that's government telling us what to do.
Marge.
So I cannot change the abortion laws in Minnesota, so my feelings on this is, I am 100% pro-life. Minnesota, the fact is that Doe versus Gomez allows abortion, and that's not going to change. Yeah, Roe v. Wade was repealed, but it was really not constitutional for that to be. It's supposed to be in the hands of the state. So if anything is changed in abortion in our state, it would have to go to the voters. But I will fight against abortion up to birth in our state, that there is no guardrails on age or up to any time that you can abort that baby. There's no guardrails at all. And that's not okay. So I will fight for life. And how is your right to choose? What about that baby's right? And that's how I look at things. God's in charge of my life from conception to death. And that is how I look at life.
John, any response?
I know you can't respond to this, but the question is, if you're going to fight and talk about people getting 9-month abortions, please tell me a woman that's going to take a pregnancy 9 months and just wake up one morning and say, I want an abortion. It's an emergency type of thing that's going to happen. So.
Why do you need that law?
Okay, thank you. We'll be moving on. Would you support legislation Would you support legislation mandating vaccinations in Minnesota? We'll start with March.
Well, let's go to the my body, my choice, okay? I don't think that we should be mandating vaccines. It should be a personal choice. If you want to, great. If you don't, that's also your choice. But you do the research and you make an informed decision. That's your right as a citizen of this country.
John?
Well, what has it been? 3 years ago when we had COVID, would have been a better question 3 years ago. The vaccination thing, one of the things that we never were mandated in school to do that I remember. I wanted to do it because I wanted to get back to life. I wanted to get back to what was going on. I wanted to get it back in the classroom. And I felt that was the way to do it. Safeguard myself, safeguard the person next to me, safeguard my family members. That's the reason why we have that. And, as they go far into the mandates, yeah, maybe they did go a little bit too far. But I bet the next time this happens, they're probably not going to be mandated. Everybody makes mistakes on how things went through the COVID. But that's what it is.
Any follow-up, March?
Again, I just think that every time you use that word mandate, it's infringing on your freedom. So just remember that whenever you hear that word mandate and freedom, because they don't go together.
What are your thoughts of more law enforcement in Minnesota? Do you support our officers in blue, and would you support legislation to increase funding to protect our Minnesota citizens in all communities? John?
Absolutely. I have a couple of good friends that are police officers. One's retired. Back in the blue is what I am. As mayor of St. James, that's all I've been about, is to try to improve our police department. We've had opportunities to get people come in, but it's very difficult to find police officers today. So it kind of goes back to where people are getting at with this question. But the bottom line is, yeah, we need to have police officers and have state patrol people and get people involved in that, get young kids involved in wanting to do that. Military professionals, like they used to, get involved into that. One of them retired well before any of this stuff happened in the past, and one continues on. He's a great detective up in the Twin Cities, and he's had to deal with a lot of stuff through those times. But certainly I do back the police. I don't see why you wouldn't back the police in anything that takes place. And that's just kind of the way we have a safe society throughout.
March?
I think here in rural Minnesota that most people here think that our police are important and we support them. There are bad actors in everything, but I don't necessarily think that, obviously I want to fund our police. But I don't think throwing more money at it is fixing it. I think that we need to let them know that they are doing their job and we support them and they aren't going to go to jail for doing their job. Because I think that's what's going on right now, that the police are just scared and we're losing police officers all the time. They're retiring and we're not getting new. And it's because they are fearing for they're going to get in trouble and they're going to go to jail for making an arrest or something that somebody doesn't agree with, and they're getting tried in the media before any investigation is done. So we need to support them. They need to know that they can do their job. And I think that once we kind of turn that mindset back, that we're holding people accountable for the crimes that they commit and not be in probation, because that's what Minnesota is, a probation state. I think that that is going to help turn that corner. And of course, we want to fund our police.
Okay, John, any follow-up? An issue of too many families living under one house. How can this be taken care of? I realize cities have ordinances, but how can you follow up with that? An issue is too many families living in one house. How can this be taken care of? I realize the city has ordinances, but how can you follow up with that? Oh, go ahead, Marge, you're up. Sorry.
Again, that's local control, and I think that the city leaders and the police in town need to work with citizens and make sure that people are living in homes safely.
John?
Other than cops busting in their house, how would you know there's two families living in that house, I guess? But yeah, it's a local ordinance, it is. I don't think it's governments or city governments, other than if there's a safety factor involved. But I don't think it's their place to go into somebody's family's home and bust up a family just because they might not have the ability to have another place to live. It could be 2, 3 families in there, possibly. Maybe they can't afford a place to live, and that's kind of the way it is. People go homeless and have that opportunity to maybe live with a relative, but that's not where the city, obviously you can have an ordinance like that, but how are you going to find that out? And that's going into that house, and I don't think that's the way to do it.
Each candidate will now have a 1-minute closing statement on why you should be elected as their state representative. And we'll start with John.
So once again, I'd like to thank Chamber of Commerce and the audience for the opportunity to discuss our issues for our area. I've dedicated my life to community service. I've been a coach for 30 years. I've been a school board member for 5 and a teacher for nearly 2 decades. I didn't do this when it was convenient for me. I did this because I knew my community needed me. Teaching the students at St. James has changed my life. I love going to work every day to help guide kids in their future. It's extra special that teaching in a district that my mom and dad graduated, and as well as my kids get a chance to graduate here as well. I started the St. James Athletic Hall of Fame in 2023 to honor our Saints past and banquet, and their banquet just Saturday is one of those things that people look forward to. I'm an active mayor of St. James, serving all the people in town. My main goal is to give a voice to everyone. I want to take that same spirit and help everybody in our district. I thank you for your continued support and the vote for November 5.
Marge?
Thank you again for hosting the event, and thank you everybody for coming out tonight and sitting here and listening to our answers. I decided to run for office to work for the greater good of all Minnesotans. My strong Christian beliefs lead me in my daily life, and being a conservative voice is what our state needs. Having Democrats in full control has been disastrous, and we need to improve with tax cuts and shrink government and put more money in your pocket. And when you decide what to do with your money, this doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or Republican, this is going to help everyone. I believe the government is supposed to work for you and not dictate your life. With your help, we can make things better in Minnesota and make a change and make it a great state that it once was. Thank you again for your attendance, and I remind you all that the most
Thank you,
important
Marge.
thing you can do is get out and vote.
Let's give our 21 team candidates a round of applause. That concludes tonight's forum. Please feel free to ask any of our candidates questions. They will be mailing in the gym museum. Thank you.